This presentation is based on the original teachings from the YouTube channel Estudio Biblia in Spanish. If you speak Spanish, I encourage you to visit the original channel. Without further ado, let's begin. Peace and blessings. My name is Alejandro. I will be your teacher in this study, which will show you how Scripture was designed to restore all things. We will properly begin in the book of Bereshit. Why Bereshit? Well, Bereshit is the Hebrew name which means in the beginning. And in the West, it has been translated as Genesis. So we are going to demonstrate how the things that were designed will restore the human being according to God's purpose. The story says that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Something happens after this creation, because in verse 2, it says that the earth was formless and empty. So at least one of the questions I've tried to ask myself is, how is it possible that a perfect being creates imperfect, chaotic things? All of this we will gradually demonstrate as the study progresses. Genesis 1:4 says, Bayar Elohim et haor Ki Tov, and God saw the light that it was good. I highlight the word Ki Tov because it is the first concept we are going to study. What does Ki Tov mean in Hebrew? The expression Ki Tov is key in Scripture and has a much deeper meaning than simply good. So if it goes beyond good, what does it really mean? The word Tov in Hebrew implies several ideas at the same time. And that is one of the enriching aspects of the Hebrew language. A single word can have up to 7 meanings. And if I begin to apply these meanings in context, it completely changes the sense of the sentence. One of its interpretations or concepts says that it means harmony, functionality, and beauty. So the light, besides being good, Ki Tov, is an element that brings harmony. It is an element with functionality, and it adds beauty to things. In other words, something is tov when it functions according to the purpose for which it was created. There is a purpose. The light was not simply designed to shine in the darkness. And this leads to another question. Why did God create light in the midst of darkness and not the other way around? Why not darkness within light? All of this will start to piece together the puzzle of why things are suddenly done well and yet chaos appears. We can even interpret this within ourselves. When we are born, we are like blank beings, without information. The information and patterns we acquire depend on our parents, the society we live in, etc. So imagine how an innocent child can develop into something grotesque, criminals, abusers, and so on. This context is not merely moral, it's about alignment with order. We realize that light, besides illuminating, also brings order. What light are we talking about? The biblical narrative also shows what happens when that design is broken. We are no longer talking about Ki Tov as just an element, but as a design or structure. What happens when it breaks? Chaos, violence, confusion, and suffering appear. So we realize that after the Eternal creates the heavens and the earth, did that design break? Why would it break if everything was created perfectly? In the Bible, this is called tohu, disorder. Humanity can live in harmony, tov, with that perfect design, or in disorder, tohu. We see this in Genesis 1:2. Veharetz hayeta tohu babohu. And the earth was formless and empty. That disorder can also be applied to us as people. I often tell people, if you want to know someone, look at their room. If it is completely messy, that reflects their inner structure. If it is orderly and clean, it says a lot about them. Even at work, if someone's desk is completely disorganized, you might wonder, what's going on in their mind for them to be this way? If we expand this teaching with the concept of Ki Tov from a psychological perspective, it describes a state of inner coherence. When a person is aligned with that design, they are internally coherent. That means their thoughts and actions align. That's why it is said, a person is what they think. Another famous saying is, I think, therefore I am. When a person lives aligned with deep values, the mind becomes ordered, emotions stabilize, and the body responds with well-being. So here comes another question. What values are in your life? Where do they come from? Your parents, grandparents, family, community? Who tells you those are the values you should follow? What is the true source of values? Which values lead us to Ki Tov? Where did those values come from? I have genuinely been concerned with examining whether the values I've learned are the correct ones, the ones that lead me to the design of Ki Tov. It says the mind becomes ordered. For example, people with anxiety or depression can find order by going deeper into Scripture. Emotions stabilize. People who are emotionally unstable begin to change. And something very important, the body responds with well-being. So how is it possible that someone who exercises, sleeps well, and eats properly still gets sick? Where do these illnesses come from? We see that what we think also affects the body. What about a negative person? Someone constantly saying, I can't, I don't know, what if? What manifests in their body? Many cultures see this as a path of reordering consciousness. What is consciousness? It's that inner voice that tells us what is right and wrong based on values. But where do those values come from? The deeper message of Ki Tov is that the universe is not chaotic or absurd. So, does that mean God created things in chaos? No. Ki Tov is a perfect design. Therefore, no chaos. Ki Tov has structure, meaning, and direction. When I live under that structure, values that give meaning to life, I begin to find answers. Why am I here? What is my purpose? Scripture begins to order us, just as the eternal ordered creation. And the conclusion is that we are meant to imitate Him. As it says, be holy, for I am holy. Holiness has to do with thoughts and words. The human being is called to realign with that design. Our goal is to return to Ki Tov. When that happens, what the Bible calls shalom reappears. We often hear the word shalom. It doesn't just mean peace. It also means fullness and balance. In Israel, people greet each other by saying shalom, shalom. Why twice? Because it affirms a wish for both balance and fullness. We are part of creation, and we are meant to complete it. Through this study, we will begin to understand many things. Our purpose, what we should do, who we should become. So don't miss what comes next. This is not material to watch just once. It should be revisited again and again. And as you study it, the Creator will reveal more to you. So, shalom, shalom.